mom and dad parent village. As a member of our little village, I followed her personal and professional story. So when when the Women's Leadership Network wine event planning team proposed the theme, the importance of a personal brand, I immediately thought of her. Shannon Prager is founder and president of Leadit Marketing, a demand generation agency focused on building brands and go-to marketing strategies for B2B tech and professional service companies. Shannon Prager is an entrepreneur, a mother of 3, and author of the blog series Lead with Wings. She's a serial planner and boundary pusher and has found passion in developing and mentoring young and working women. I'm excited and honored to pass the microphone to Shannon so that we can all be a part of her journey.
Okay, so I've been preparing for this speech for probably about 6 or 7 weeks now. And the first moment when they introduce you and you take the stage, it's just a hard moment to be in. You're doing great. So I'm about to share a story with you that I was realizing last night that some of my best friends don't even know. So if I take a few moments to catch my breath, you'll know why. So I figured the best way, and I'm sorry if I am, this is kind of, I need to be right on my mouth. So if I move, just holler. If I'm going to talk about personal branding, I figured the best place to get started is to give you a little insight into my own journey. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I am the daughter of 2 busy, career-oriented parents. I am the oldest of 3 siblings, so bossy, type A, like to be in control. My father was an advertising executive, actually for a few different Dallas advertising agencies. And at a very early age, I remember him leaning on the back of his couch. He was on the floor, I would lay in between his legs, and he would teach me, and we would analyze commercials together, and he would teach me about the importance of influencing people through colors and images and messages and sounds. I'm pretty sure actually I was the 5-year-old mastermind behind the American Airlines 80s commercial, Something Special in the Air, for those of you that are that old. My mother was also a very career-oriented woman. At some point, she owned 3 different businesses. She taught me about work ethic, systems, processes, CYAs. For those of you that don't know that, I've had a few of my team members like, what is that, Shannon? I'm like, cover your butts. Systems to cover your butts. She taught me what it was to be a strong, powerful, fiercely independent woman in every sense of the word. But that journey and her decision to be a working woman often came at the sacrifice of our relationship. I was raised by nannies, and I feel like I missed out on many, many normal mom moments, including study habits. I struggled in school, and I later struggled in college. I couldn't rush. I couldn't try out for cheerleading because my grades were so bad and I didn't have the study habits. It wasn't until college that I found my own grit and my own passion to just push through. Coming out of college, I was given an opportunity of a lifetime. I was hired to basically start a marketing department. I was 21 years old, maybe even 20 years old. It was an amazing opportunity, and that is where I met my first mentor. She will always have a special place in my heart. She rounded out many of my soft skills, including presentation skills, organizational skills. I remember she sent me to Franklin Covey. My God, that seems like ages ago. I still use many of those tactics today, and they inspire many of the ways that I teach my team. She was a friend to me, but she also helped me through a very difficult period of time. I found myself in a 5-year very complicated situation with the CEO of the company that had hired me, and what I thought he was doing to help me build my career ended up turning into a very complicated, dangerous situation, and she helped me make sense of something that I thought I was the cause of. In 2001, I married my high school best friend, who's actually over there supporting me. We have 3 amazing children together. We have a 15-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old son, and a 10-year-old daughter that are across 3 different schools. So to tell you that my life is full is a complete understatement. I spent the first 15 years of my career between tech startups and enterprise companies. I ended my career before starting my own company at a company called BEA, for those of you that have been in the tech space for a long time. BEA was acquired by Oracle, and I was given this opportunity to go and find an opportunity at Oracle and take the package. We were moving to Houston, and it was just a perfect storm of a few things coming together, so I took the package, and then a few months later, I had some of the other people that were taking packages come to me and asked me if I wanted to support their startups through marketing. So at that point, in 2008, I started Leadit Marketing. And I spent the first 6 years of that journey on my own. I was a solopreneur. It was great. I was able to balance my family with my work. I was able to stay committed to my career. And then we were moving back. We actually had moved away to Houston for my husband's job. We were starting to think about moving back to Dallas. And that is when I came face to face with many of the pains of my past and how I was raised. Today, Leadit Marketing is a B2B demand generation company. We focus on professional services and tech companies, but the most fulfilling part of what we have built is that Leadit is an all-women team, and I find the most fulfillment and the most passion and the most joy just growing, inspiring, stretching, and teaching the women inside of Leadit. I care about this journey, and my personal brand is built on many of the things that I mentioned to you today. The relationship with my mother is what made me fierce about finding a different way of doing it and finding a different balance. I care about inspiring, growing, and mentoring the next generation of women because of the impact that my mentor had on me. And I care deeply about sharing this journey because being a working woman, being a working entrepreneur is hard. It is the hardest job that I have, and we need more voices sharing their experiences so we can learn and grow from them. I have a professional coach that I work with. I adore her. Obviously started off as a coaching relationship, and now I honestly feel like she's almost like a second mother to me. And we had dinner on Sunday. She was traveling in town, and she was telling me about this women's leadership retreat that she was leading. And one of the exercises that she asked the women to go through is to basically come up and put all the different words that remind them of what they're responsible for as women in 2019. And she showed me this image, and there were hundreds of words. Some of them were parenting, friendships, balancing a career, figuring out how to get pregnant with fertility issues, raising babies, dealing with technology, trying to raise children around technology, self-care, keeping tradition held tightly, sex, dating, making a home, body image, quality time with family, life planning, wifing. We carry a lot. And my journey is not about a man versus woman. That is the wrong conversation for me to be in. But as women, we carry so much. And my personal brand, my situation, is what gave me the superpower to talk about this. The journey that I started, the journey that I shared with you, and my discovery into what I'm passionate about and what I care about started last year. I I was bringing on a new client. For some of you may know the name, it's Staying in Leadership Academy. And I went through a 52-week long leadership development course, which taught me to understand my passions, why I react certain ways, how I react certain ways, how to listen to myself and really understand my own stories and my own reactions. Coincidentally, totally coincidentally, the CEO of Slalom, John Tobin, went through the same program a decade ago, and many of the Slalom leaders continue to go through it today. I believe they even rolled out an employee development program within Slalom called Lift, so many of you might be exposed to pieces of this program. This opportunity to speak to you today came from me starting to put myself out there and share my stories with others. And I am only getting started. So I'm so excited to share what I've learned in the last year. All right, so there's a few things. We're going to getting on it. I feel like this is the fine print that I've got to cover, but I feel like some of you may know this, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here. But let's just talk about what a personal brand is. So a personal brand is Jeff Bezos, actually, CEO of Amazon. Many of you may know him or may know his name. Is famous for saying that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's built on authenticity. It's about what you're going to give versus what you're going to sell. It's what you believe at your core. It's about the legacy that you want to leave or the impact that you want to make, big or small. It's about what you hang your heart and soul on. So, quick raise of hands. I don't know how many of you have gone through many of the experiences that I did last year, but have any of you done any purpose work to develop what you're, yes, okay, perfect. So as I was preparing for this speech, I had a total aha moment. And they were explaining personal brand as really the intersection, of three different things. If you think of like three circles, 1, 2, 3, and then they come together. What you're talented at, what you're passionate about, and what your talent, passion, and skills. When you bring those three circles together and they intersect, in the middle of those is your brand, is your purpose. Some other well-known leaders that many of you may know, Oprah Winfrey. She's famous for understanding people and empathy. She built an entire brand around this. Brene Brown, anybody? No, BFF. Love her. Seriously, she is my BFF. That can be one side. She's amazing. So she is all about storytelling and authenticity, and dealing and bringing a voice to shame and vulnerability. And honestly, if you don't know her, I highly recommend reading her book, Dare to Lead, following anything she does. It's quite beautiful work. But the stories that I shared with you earlier are a very important part of my own personal brand. My skill is marketing. My talent, and I had to ask my coach this because it's hard to obviously talk about yourself. In her own words, it is the honesty and the realness in which I blend family, relationships, friends, and my profession. And my passion is being a voice for women and coaching them that they can have it all if they want to work hard enough for it. It is not easy being a working woman. It is the hardest job that I have, and I work at this every day. What's interesting is the journey in my 20s was about getting the right job, getting the right title, finding the right husband. It changed as I moved into my 30s and I started having babies. And that, oh God, I remember that one being really hard when I had a lot of friends starting to be working, stay-at-home mothers, and I was choosing a career. I felt, I don't even know how to explain that feeling. I doubted myself for years. I have a story, and I just focus on improving daily, sharing my journey with others, so we can learn from each other and stop being so hard on ourselves. That's what my personal brand is about. And I'm in a unique position to share it because I am the daughter of an entrepreneur. I have been impacted by this journey, and then I chose the same journey to do to my own children. So what is the difference between a personal and a corporate brand? So this may be pretty basic for you. I'm going to skip on through this pretty quickly, but the brand is about the promise of delivering a memorable experience. Both the personal and corporate brand are about distinguishing you as an individual or as a company. They're about creating an expectation and delivering it consistently. They involve values, purpose, and performance, and they're about strategy, intention, and commitment. Corporate brands, however, are about the corporation as a whole, and they're also about the value that they place on the product or service. A personal brand is about what you're going to give versus what you're going to sell. It's what's natural to you. If you're lucky, it's around your career choices, and it drives your actions, your reactions, and many of your interests. Another big difference is that corporate brands will build entire departments and spend a lot of money around developing their brand, and people forget. They totally ignore it. What's interesting though is you're seeing more and more companies start to merge with personal brands. So the best companies really understand that people want to do business with people. They don't want to connect with companies that have no purpose, mission, or feeling behind them. With the rise of social media and conscious capitalism, companies are spending a lot more time developing their people so they can really get the best from them. At their core, people love to connect with people. As marketers, we know this, and the best brands are great about being human. Nike had a great example of this. They launched a campaign earlier in February. They've actually been historically pretty good about this, but in February, they launched a commercial with Serena Williams, which is all around inspiring women to dream bigger. It was a great mix of taking a corporate brand and a personal brand and delivering them together for greater impact. So why do you need a personal brand? If any of you have done work on core values, that was another big piece of my Stegan work. When you have them, they serve a guide about what you're going to spend your time on, what's most important to you. When you have a brand, it serves a really similar function. It's a checkpoint to make sure that your decisions align with what's most important to you. So the first question you may be asking is, does everybody need one? And I personally think that you do. It helps you become clear on what's important to you, and it helps you separate you from everybody else. But once you figure out what your brand is, that is not the work. The work is that you still have to manage and create a reputation around it. It provides a compass, so you're always leaning in and finding opportunities that are most important to you. It keeps you aligned to who you are and what you stand for. Your brand is your unique story, your gifts, your passion to create your own path to success. Effective personal branding can help you build new relationships, get noticed for the next job, get noticed by a new customer. It can help you build a community, establish your authority, ultimately make more money. But most importantly, it aligns you to what's most important to you. So where do you start? And I am in the trenches of this right now, which is probably what made Kristen ask me to come speak to you about this. So 2 years ago, I was faced with a choice. We were moving back from Houston to Dallas. I could keep Leadit Marketing as a solopreneur. I was doing a great job. I was making great money. I was doing a great job of balancing career with my babies. I was working from home. I was able to attend swim practices, but there was something in me that just felt like I wanted more. I wanted to push myself to the next level. And I was asking myself a lot of hard questions. What does this mean for my kids? And I asked myself that one a lot. I continue to ask myself that one. Do I want to be responsible for the livelihood of my team members? Do I have what it takes? Do I want this bad enough to pull myself through the rough times? And there are rough times. It took me 2 good years to make this choice, and I'm 2 years on the other side of it. I have found this journey to develop my purpose the most messy experience I've ever had in my entire life. I know that I'm being called to do something, but I could formulate that and do that in a million different ways. What is the right way? How am I really going to play this out? For example, I want to write a book. I would love to share my story in the form of a book. But in order to launch a book, you have to be traveling, you have to be on the circuit, you have to constantly be speaking and moving from thing to thing. I have 3 young kids. I cannot do that because they are the most important thing to me. So I am constantly balancing what's most important versus what I could bring to life. I won't pretend that everybody follows the same path that I did, but my path started when I started getting really curious about why I reacted to certain things certain ways, why I felt passionate about mentoring the next generation of women, why I had certain relationships with men in the workspace. So I have rounded out my top 10 in the trenches tips of how to develop your personal brand, which I'm going to share with you. All right, number 1, understand your core values. It's going to be important to have a clear picture of your guiding values. This is going to help you identify not only the most important things to spend your time on, but also what don't align with your values. Use your values as priorities that guide your inaction and your action and your decision-making process. This is going to ensure that you always stay on track. Number 2, be true to you. If your heart isn't in it, you have not found your superpower. Don't let others box you into what they think you should be. Be you, live into your inner voice, trust that living true to you is going to attract the people that support you. Number 3, give to receive. Add value wherever you can. Talk to people, learn from them. Don't hesitate about making people smarter than you. Remember first that people are going to remember how you make them feel, first and foremost. It's only by giving that you will receive more than you have, or more than you gave. Number 4, focus on your superpower. Focus on something that you're genuinely great at and build your brand around that. And know that your greatest weakness can also be your greatest superpower. Trust me, when you get it right, the energy around it is absolutely a magnet. Number 5, be consistent. Don't become different versions of yourself depending on the circumstances or people. The best personal brands are authentic and consistent. Number 6, excuse me. Marketing 101. We live in this world right here. You can't impact somebody if you don't know who you're trying to impact. What are their pains? How can you help them? This is about giving to them, so you have to know exactly what they need. Number 7, amplify. It's not enough to learn it. You have to teach it and share it by helping others. You can do this through videos, podcasts, articles, books, online and offline. There are a million different ways to amplify your message. This is where you're going to prove what you know and gain exposure from doing so. Number 8, build trust. Buying into anything is an emotional decision, and the best brands are designed to build trust. Remember that trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair, so hold it tightly. Number 9, develop a growth mindset. So once you've identified your uniqueness and strengths, perfect them. Learn all that you can, become the expert. You never stop learning. Read, absorb, teach, repeat. Failure is a part of this game. Remember that there are amazing things on the other side of fear and failure. It's hard to beat somebody that never gives up. And number 10, use your past to build your future. There's a Maya Angelou quote that speaks to this last tip that I absolutely love. You can't really know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. So I would like you each to hold your hands out in front of you, and I'm sorry I didn't know what kind of mic we were going to have when we do this, so imagine I have 2. In the one hand, you carry your pain, things that you're deeply shameful of, things that you probably haven't told all of your best friends, things that you have pushed aside, maybe because you don't think that they impact you, or you're upset about them, or you're ashamed of them, or you're scared of sharing them with the world. In the other hand, you have your passion. It's the things that you get lit up about doing. And oftentimes, if you're open to it, the two are connected. And when you bring them together, that is where your superpower lives. So I told you I'm in the middle of this. I have a few little learnings that I have really been leaning into the last 3 months. So once you find it, I told you, that's not the work. The work is to bring it to life and build a reputation around it. So you're gonna have to work on your mindset. Don't let anything hold you back. It's not easy. I have found myself doubting myself on several occasions. You're gonna have to learn to fight through your head trash. Self-talk is one of the most important things you're gonna give yourself. You are gonna have to tell yourself what to think on many, many occasions. Set BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. This is a big word in our company, BHAGs. We talk about this weekly. Setting goals is the first step to turning the invisible into the visible. That's when you learn and stretch yourself the most. Find great mentors. So what's been interesting for me is, I've had a few mentors over the years, but I've kind of been focused on them being like, for a certain point in my life, but spreading over many things. I now have mentors that coach me through mind issues. We're looking into developing software. I've got a mentor for that. Any area that I know that I need to learn and grow, I have found a mentor to support that. Let go. Really hard one for me. Triple type A, oldest child. I don't like not knowing where I'm going. But you're gonna have to create, explore, and trust this process, even when it seems unclear and vulnerable. And let go by stop being so hard on yourself. Take care of yourself. Self-care is about giving the world the best you, not what's left of you. And finally, learn to say no. Sometimes you have to say no, to say yes to something that's more important to you. I find myself constantly saying no to after-hours networking events. I do things with my friends because my children, my family, are always number one. I can't be all things to all people. So say no to say yes to something bigger. So thank you for this complete honor. I hope that my story helped and inspired you a little. I have 2 favors. Number 1, as I mentioned, I'm only getting started. So if you know any opportunities or connections, I would love your help in continuing to spread my own message. And number 2, I love feedback. It's something that my mom always gave me. And it's how I receive and show love. So if you have feedback and it comes from a caring place, I would love to hear it. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave you with one parting quote that is one of my favorite quotes. By Howard Thurman. Ask not what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. Thank you.